Let me see if this works.
Hi everybody, we are now live on Facebook. How's everyone doing today?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. So we'll give it a couple of minutes just to kind of introduce ourselves and say where we are located geographically and kind of get things started while hopefully people start to join us. We'll see if we can take any questions as we go through and kind of go on from there. So let's start off first of all. Hi, my name is Lexi. I am the marketing and brand manager for Different Travel, and I am living in North Yorkshire at the moment. Behind me there, that's my cat Marley, who lives with me. Jill, do you want to go next?
Yes, I'm Jill. I'm in a sales and business development role, which is a bit slow at the moment, but still very much involved. And I'm working from West Sussex. Sarah?
Hello, I'm Sarah Burgess. So I'm one of the founders of the Different Travel Company 15 years ago now, and my role these days is basically product and planning and operations. I'm based in Hampshire. I've got my colleague Billy the dog working with me, so you might hear him barking if the postman arrives. One of the challenges of home working that we'll come on to talk about. But that's me, and over to you, Lydia. Are you there? I've had a few issues.
My name's Rubia. I'm
Just excuse me one moment.
My name's Rubia. Hi, my name's Ruby. I'm the newest member of Different Travel, having joined 6 weeks ago now, and I'm working from home in Greater Manchester.
Perfect, thanks so much. So we've got a few people watching us on Facebook, so to you guys, if you've got any questions, then please don't hesitate to fire them across to us. We'll do our best to answer those. It seems that my cat's decided to be as noisy as possible at the very least opportune moment, so it kind of demonstrates the points that we're going to be talking about, like Sarah mentioned, with her dog Billy. So let's get straight into it. First of all, we're going to talk about kind of perfecting the workspace and getting a kind of environment that's conducive to, productive working. So Sarah, do you want to start off with that? How do you set up your working space to be kind of productive and comfortable?
Okay, well, I think it's important to have a designated space. For me, to be honest, I have two. I do have my official office, which is a converted space up in the loft, which is where I am at the moment, away from the hustle and bustle of noise downstairs. And I just find it really important to have it set up so that that is your workspace and it's totally different to your everyday other life, your social life, your home life. Somewhere that you can walk away from at the end of the day, at lunch hour, you can leave a designated spot and sort of put it to rest, as it were. When you are working there, it really helps as well just have that area that you can really focus purely on work and not have trying to kind of eliminate as many of the other distractions going on around you as possible. I don't know, have you got anything to add to that, Jill? How do you find it?
Well, unlike you, I don't have an office space, a room that I can set up in, but I don't have children around, I don't have pets. So I set up in my living room at one end of my dining room table, and it's a dedicated space, but something I put away in the evenings as well. So I know that I'm not going to have any disturbances through the day, and everything's there that I need, my computer, my telephone, very little really, and yeah, I find that works for me. Yeah.
No, that's great. Ruby, you've only just joined the company from working in a kind of very people-facing role before that. How are you adjusting with working from home, and how have you managed to set up the perfect working environment for you?
I think I've come quite well, really. One of my sisters works from home anyway, so I was kind of used to the working from home culture as it was, but she's got the main home office, so I set up in the spare room. It's unusual not having people around you, but at the moment we've got 4 home workers, so we're all kind of meeting up for lunch and sharing brew breaks and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's working out quite well. I've set up, and like Jill said, I need to put it away at the end of the night and close the door on the office, and that's a really good way of kind of separating home life and office life while it's all in one room.
I think that's a really important thing. It's not just about being able to manage, being productive at work. It's also about being able to switch off at the end of the day and kind of separate your work life from your home life. Certainly for me, the way I have my kind of workspace set up is it's kind of facing away from the rest of my lounge. So my sofa, I'm facing away from it when I'm sat on my sofa, and I kind of can't see my desk when I'm having my downtime. So it gives me that physical separation. I'm not looking at my workspace when I'm having my downtime in the evenings, and for me that's really helpful. You've got to have that kind of separation there. Make sure that you're kind of able to unwind a little bit, because it can be very, very tempting just to carry on working even after your normal day of working hours is finished. It's one of those things as well where I think it's very easy to get distracted, and it's when you're working from home, there's things like your pets, and you've got the laundry might be on, and all sorts of different things like that. What kind of ways do you find are best to help you focus? I'll direct that to Rubia first of all.
I find scheduling very important, just in the way where I work. So at the end of the day, I'll make a list of what I need to get done for the next day. My desk is covered in post-it notes and weekly lists and daily lists, and I find setting alarms to remind me to go and have lunch. I'm one of those who gets completely absorbed in what I'm doing, so I'll set an alarm to make sure I'll leave the space and go and have some downtime. Don't have lunch at your desk. Do leave it. It's quite tempting. After 10 years of working in an office, I've eaten at my desk more times than you can imagine, but that's something that I'm not doing it at home. So yeah, I find it really important to kind of take that time and schedule things in. But again, that doesn't work for everyone. How about you, Jill?
Well, I schedule my work day very much as if I was in an office, really. I start work at a certain time, and if I've got things to do, I do them, like the laundry, anything, maybe go to the shops really early. I do them before I start work, and then I'll have a break mid-morning, just as you would in an office, and lunch. And so if I've done the washing before I started and the washing is finished, I wait till my coffee break to put it out. And I just really discipline myself 2 hours. I always have a break for lunch, and as you say, never eat at my desk. And when 5 o'clock comes, I switch down, switch off my computer, shut it down, put my paperwork away. My dining room table's back to being a dining room table, really. So I find that sticking to the discipline you would in an office is really helpful, and I think it's probably more productive than being in an office, because you don't have distractions, you're not talking to other people, you're just really doing work within those times as well. Sarah, would you agree?
I think the fact that you don't have those other distractions makes it all the more important that you do take that time out and have your breaks away from your desk, because, as you say, otherwise you can sort of, it's easy to get carried away, and then you'll sort of not be feeling great or on top of things at the end of it because of that. I'm one of those people, I don't have to set myself reminders to eat. I always remember to eat. but yeah, just have that time away and to sort of plan, I guess, in advance a bit what you're maybe going to do. I mean, I think especially at the moment when we're all in such a strange situation with the current lockdown, it's very easy to, I don't know, people complain about getting bored or just sort of like the mundaneness of everything, but just to give yourself something to look forward to at lunchtime, whether that is going out and sitting in the sunshine in the garden with a sandwich, or whether it's catching up with something on television or doing a fitness class, just having a focal point to look forward to during the day to break up that routine, I find really, really helps as well, particularly at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's really important. It's kind of, you need to schedule in breaks and give yourself that mental space. And particularly, when you're working in a home environment, you're not physically with people, so it can be quite mentally stressful as well. You know, you've got that kind of very different way of working, and it's important to kind of step back and have that space sometimes to kind of reset yourself and have that kind of the fresh eyes on things. Certainly, I mean, I'm very similar to Rubia in that I have to schedule in, I have to set an alarm for having a cup of tea or a lunch break. For me, it's I do get absorbed into kind of what I'm doing. So it's one of those things where, you know, if you can start the day by having a schedule ready, whether that's, you know, going through your to-do list or, you know, creating an hourly schedule. Sometimes people like to break things down hour by hour. It's really important, and it's just so important to kind of have those self-care things in place, whether that is just 5 minutes from your desk to sit in the sunshine or to put the laundry out. It's really important to have that kind of break from, you know, the working day. So in terms of kind of keeping organized and things, there's a few different tactics that you can do to help with that. So it could be, like I say, to-do lists. If you've got a whiteboard or a blackboard, maybe that, you know, maybe your kids have, that you can pinch for a period of time during this unusual period, and you can have something on your wall in front of you, and it helps you to focus. If you're working in a sales environment, you know, it's important to remember that you may have targets that you need to set. So have those kind of in front of you in place so you can keep motivated, and remember, you know, that you are there at work, even if you are sitting in your lounge or your spare bedroom. So let's move on. We've got a couple of questions that have come in about communication, and how do you kind of manage communication effectively when you're working from home and you're not kind of in the office with people. Sarah, I'll direct that one to you first of all.
Well, I mean, we've been working from home for such a long time that I guess it's become second nature to us. But that's where things like this and communicating online, whether it be by video call or just regular group meetings on Skype, for example, are really, really important. It just keeps you in contact with everybody, on both on a one-to-one point of view and with your team, and then also sort of beyond that with your customers as well. I mean, we've certainly found that over the last couple of weeks with all of our sort of regular customers that we might have been meeting, or you know, people that we would have been going and chatting to in person, are really appreciating that opportunity to have some kind of a video call to just communicate and keep in touch. It all makes it feel a bit more real. So yeah, I think we probably all found that. But you know, what are your thoughts?
You've covered communication with clients and customers. I'm just going to add that communication between ourselves has always been just totally spot on. I think we're all involved in different areas of the business, but we know where our areas touch on others, and any emails that are sent, you know, the relevant people are copied in. And I don't think I've ever come across in the 14 years I've been here of a miscommunication or, you know, anything serious that I didn't know that I should have known or someone else didn't know. So it's really, because we're not a huge company, we're big enough to handle those type of things and know who would be affected by what you're doing. And I think that's been a huge contributor towards the inner communication, internal and external.
I would have to agree with that. I think, you know, having that really strong internal communication, it allows you to then have really strong external communication as well. So if everyone knows what everyone else is doing within the business to a certain degree, then, you know, if you receive a phone call from someone, then you can help them regardless of if it's your area or not. And it kind of gives that real continuity. And I think that's something that, you know, we're very, very strong at. So yeah, keeping in constant communication, but equally not kind of overloading your colleagues with spam emails is super important. So finding that balance. And initially, you know, if you're not used to working from home, it can take a little bit of time to figure out what that balance is. So be patient with it. You know, don't try and kind of assume that you're going to find the perfect system immediately. It will take a little bit of time to kind of get through things and figure out the best way to work for you and for your colleagues. I think it's also probably important to mention that everyone is different. Everyone has a different way of working, and you know, you've got to allow for that. And that's again where communication comes in very strongly. You've got to know how it best works for each other. So a couple more things. We're going to wrap up in about 2 or 3 minutes. So there's just a couple of last minute things that we're going to cover. One of the questions that has been asked of us is about how to deal with caring for children and pets as well, whilst you're working from home when you wouldn't normally be. I'll kind of quickly touch on that one personally. You've seen my cat joining us. That's Marley, who's been joining us throughout the video. I don't have any children at home, but I do have a very, very needy and attention-seeking cat. So from that side of things, it's a case of being aware that he does have needs as well. You know, he might be hungry, he might need his cat litter box cleaned, and it's a case of making sure that you care for that individual, that animal, to make sure that they are happy, because at the end of the day, if you ignore them and just kind of pretend that they're not there, the risk is that they're going to get upset and it's going to cause longer problems, longer term issues, or just generally make your life a little bit more difficult. You have that kind of stress of, I've got to look after someone else or something else, and I can't focus on my work because I'm too busy worrying about that. So again, you can kind of schedule that into your day. So knowing that you have children around, you can give yourself a break and allow yourself to spend some time with your kids and kind of have that opportunity to use that as a rest break. Does anyone else want to kind of add anything there? Ruby, I know your sisters have got children, so have offered some really good advice on how to manage that.
Yeah, I think it's really important not to feel guilty when you have to stop working to take care of a little child. It's just about planning effectively and rescheduling your work to work around them. If there's 2 of you, share the workload. One of you have the kid in the morning, the other in the afternoon, or take advantage of nap times. When the children are a little bit older, you can kind of set them up with their own tasks. I've got one friend who's all the kids of the people, of their colleagues, they have a mini kiddie conference. So they have a little Skype chat. The kids all talk to each other, so they're getting the interaction. And then it's okay, it's mummy and daddy's time to work now. They've got their own little desk set up with the colouring or their schoolwork or what have you. So it feels as if they're involved with the work as well. But yeah, don't feel guilty about sticking on a movie. It's allowed. Let the kids have a lie-in. Things were all a bit unusual. Try and keep some routine, but if routine goes out the window, so be it. Don't feel guilty about it, I think.
There's some really good points there. Sarah and Jill, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so. I think what Ruby has said makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's involving the children, making them feel they're working at the same time as you seems a really good idea, and not feeling guilty about having a bit of time out to be with them. Sarah?
Absolutely. I mean, we're obviously in a very unusual situation at the moment. I mean, some of our team members do have children, and obviously under normal circumstances, they work hours that fit in around the children being at school or being in for the childminder or in daycare, which is fantastic, because I think in normal circumstances, it is a more ideal scenario to obviously be working and the children to be occupied and taken care of. However, it's such unusual, unprecedented times at the moment that everyone's having to adapt. And as Ruby started off by saying, not being guilty is the main thing. It's a very, very weird time for them. They're going to need your support and your attention just as much, so or more. So yeah, scheduling in that time to be with them is just as important.
Some really, really good points there. So we're just going to finish off on one final question. I think this is probably the most important question. The one that's been asked the most is, how do you avoid snacking throughout the day? Jill, do you want to start off with that one? How do you avoid mindlessly snacking?
I don't have a real problem with it. I sometimes sitting at my desk at 10:30 and think, I feel a bit peckish, or I haven't had breakfast. And so I just stick to, lunch break. I literally don't snack at my desk, but that's just me. I know others have problems.
Yeah. Sarah, shall we direct this to you?
I mean, yes, I am a snacker and a grazer, and I would quite happily sit here and eat all day if I could, but I know that I can't. And I've been working from home for 15 years now, and I am very much in the routine that I do have to have a set routine. I have to plan my meals in advance, particularly at the moment when you can't just nip to the shop to buy something that you might want. But I will plan my menu so that I'm eating healthy, nutritious lunches that I've organised in advance, and I know the whole week exactly what I'm going to have each day. And when it comes to snacks, I do let myself have one snack a day, either mid-morning or mid-afternoon, depending on how I feel. But that will always be something healthy. You know, it might be a cereal bar or a fruit salad or something, again, that I've got in and prepared. Personally, I have a very strict routine of keeping the sort of less healthy things to the weekend. So the weekend is when I will let myself have a drink, have some cake, eat some slightly less nutritious, less healthy food. But during the week, I am very, very strict. And for me, I find that works. I do think I would struggle if I'd been used to be doing in an office environment and now suddenly having to kind of cope with that at home. But I think luckily over the years, I've just got into that routine that works for me.
That's great. And Rubia, how are you managing it?
Yeah, we used to have a snack drawer in the office, which was within arm's reach. So I was constantly dipping into that, lots of biscuits, lots of chocolates. At home, I'm being a bit more disciplined with myself. I don't snack as often, but I find if I bring a snack up with me in the morning, then that's it. I'll know that's my limit for the day. So I'm portion controlled in that way. So I'll bring up an apple or a banana or a little treat. And treats are allowed. If you're having a rough day and you need a bit of chocolate in the afternoon, that's fine. But I find if I have my plans set in the morning, I'm not having to nip downstairs to try and find something else to graze on, really. So yeah, that works for me.
I think that's a really important thing you mentioned about portion control. One of the things that works for me, I'm not a big snacker, but if I do snack, I tend to be that person that brings the entire pack of biscuits to my desk, or the entire kind of package of whatever it might be that I'm snacking on, and having that kind of conscious plan to just take the one biscuit out of the container, or one portion of the fruit salad or whatever it might be, to your working area, but also to switch off from work whilst you're doing it. So for me, I find that it has to be mindful eating. If I've got something on my desk, then if I'm trying to work and I've got the snacks there, I will just keep eating and eating and eating because it's there and I'm not really thinking about it. So for me, I have to literally move myself away from my working space and concentrate on what I'm eating and kind of enjoy it, and then I can, I don't feel like I have that desire to kind of keep eating mindlessly. And the other thing as well that I think is really important is about keeping hydrated, because quite often when you think you're hungry, actually you're thirsty. So having kind of a bottle of water on your desk, or a cup of coffee here and there, that's really important. But again, trying not to drink sort of caffeinated drinks if you can, because that can have physiological effects which aren't particularly pleasant. So it can cause increased heart rate and anxiousness and things like that, which doesn't help your working day. So consider moving to decaffeinated beverages or sticking to water, and that will help kind of manage your hunger levels as well, because like I say, most of the time, or quite often, it's an emotional feeling, which is what leads to snacking. So yeah. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time this morning. We haven't had any more questions coming on the Facebook Live, but if there are any other questions that come in, we'll try and address those at a later stage, or answer those questions in the comments. At around about 1 o'clock today, we are going to be launching a free ebook, which is about tips and hints on working from home. So make sure you like our page and get ready to receive the download link for that. Thanks once again for joining us, and we hope you found this useful. And we'll catch up with you again at some point soon. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.